Hi, this is Kayvon and I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at Social Sensei. I'm here with one of our clients, Nick Atlas. Nick, thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on with us today. How are you doing?
I'm great, and the pleasure's all mine. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, it's our privilege as well too. So Nick, just kind of a quick introduction about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you heard about Social Sensei and what you've been up to.
Sure. My story. Well, I traveled the world for about 10 years after college. Um,
Hmm.
I had a series of, there was actually some crisis in my life, and it sent me on a journey that I think I'm still on, and totally changed the course of my life. So I deepened my yoga and meditation practice throughout that time, devoted myself to my artwork. And in 2012, I went back to graduate school to study psychology, specifically consciousness studies. And my focus was on dreaming, on lucid dreaming. So I finished a few years ago and launched into something called Evolutionary Education, which was actually born out of a vision that came through in a dream. Um, so I'm currently the director of Evolutionary Education and offer continuing ed programs and professional and personal growth trainings for people of all ages. I'm based down in Atlanta, Georgia. And in addition to running the school, um, I am about to publish my first book called The Light Travelers, which details this journey that I took and a lot of the insight I gleaned from it. So that's me in a nutshell. And I found out about Social Sensei actually from a fellow, I believe one of the founders, who I met at a gathering, at a kind of mastermind gathering in
Mm.
the in New Mexico in the previous year. And he was really enthusiastic about it. I was telling him how important it was for me to grow my social media following, particularly with the publishing I'm about to be doing. And he introduced me, and I've been now working with Social Sensei for the last 4 months, I believe, since the beginning of the year.
That's awesome. And so before partnering with Social Sensei, what were you doing on Instagram exactly? How often were you, posting content, into your feeds and your stories and so forth? And, how was the engagement too?
Right. So prior to teaming up with Social Sensei, I was posting primarily through my Evolutionary Education account. I actually have two accounts, and I was
Hmm.
posting primarily through the school's account, and I would post maybe every few days, kind of as things struck me. I wasn't really too invested in engaging with followers. I was just kind of posting on a whim. And and kind of fudging along with hashtags and things like that, trying to get people interested. And for the most
Right.
part, it was a disappointing experience because I wasn't really getting a lot of engagement. I was reaching some of the folks that knew me, but it wasn't growing very quickly at all. Um, so yeah, it was frustrating. I think the most frustrating thing for me was this feeling that I was pouring so much energy and creativity into it and really not getting a lot out of it.
Yeah. And why is that important to you? I'm curious, just from a personal standpoint, for people, to hear that message and what you're trying to, spread your vision on. Why was that important to you? What effect, what impact are you trying to make with your followers? Not just on Instagram, but just, at these retreats and, teaching these classes that you're teaching. Why? What's the message? What's the vision?
Yeah, well, it's a challenging question to answer. I think
Yeah.
obviously as a creator, as an artistic person, there's this desire to be seen and appreciated for what I'm doing. I'm
Hmm.
constantly kind of getting kicked in the butt for having that kind of for holding and learning to
Yeah.
let go of expectations that my work needs to
Right.
be received. But at the same time, for me, my art and my livelihood are one and the same. I'm not out to be like a famous person, and I don't feel like I need to make millions of dollars. I'm just trying to share my gifts with the world. And we have these platforms now that allow us to do that. So I feel like I need to be taking advantage of those things so that I can share, share what I do and have the biggest impact. It feels like a waste if I'm just cultivating, things that I think are valuable and not letting other people know about them. So regardless of the kind of engagement I'm receiving, broadcasting the signal is really important.
Right. And you had kind of already alluded to this in regards to, some of the problems you were facing with your Instagram account, that you were putting, a lot of effort and work into it, but you felt like you weren't kind of getting the reciprocation that you were looking for.
Yeah, well, it works a couple ways.
Uh,
One, and I think this, not to, well, I think with Social Sensei, what it's doing for me is it's broadcasting that signal. I know that when I make a post, it's going to reach a massive amount of people. And Instagram to me,
right.
in some ways, feels like, and social media in general, is kind of a numbers game. The more people that have that see the work that I'm putting out there, the more people are likely to engage with it. So it's given me hope in the sense that I know when I post something, people are going to see it. I know that I'm going to be receiving feedback. It inspires me to put more energy into the post. So it creates a kind of reciprocal relationship between what I'm
Yeah.
putting into it and what I'm getting out of it. It's like if I'm just talking to a wall, it's
Yeah.
after a while, I'm going to feel like I'm banging my head against it. But if I'm talking to something that's living and breathing and I know is there and responsive, the whole process is going to improve.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So kind of now going into Social Sensei a little bit more, describe working with us. Where'd you see the most value? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, again, for me, the most value is that it's, it's saving me a tremendous amount of time and energy in terms of
Hmm.
what I would have to do to reach that many people, which again
Yeah.
is fulfilling in the sense that, the energy I'm putting into my work is being received. I know that there's an audience there. And it's also, from a business standpoint, at this point, I think kind of crucial. So I don't even know how I would reach an audience like that without a service like you're providing. It'd be like kind of a non-issue for me. So value-wise, it's essentially automating something that I don't know that I could do, or providing a service that I don't know that I'd be able to handle on my own, and then saving me tons of time and energy in doing that. And in working with you guys, everything's been really smooth. I found that the setup process in terms of actually getting things in place so that the machine would run on its own was really convenient, and my engagement with customer service has been smooth. So all in all, I think it's an extremely valuable service, and it's been very easy.
Well, thank you. That's so great to hear that. Getting more specific on those results, terms of followers, kind of from a numbers perspective now, if we can talk a little bit more about that. How many followers did you see come from Social Sensei and engagement? How is that with those followers that achieved, obtained from Social Sensei services and platform?
Right. So I specifically chose to work with my personal account, which again is still has a business aspect to it, because
Hmm.
I am my brand at this point. Um, and when I first started, it was a relatively dormant account. I think I had about 200 followers, and as of today, I'm at around 2,100, 2,100, 2,200 in 4 months.
Nice.
So I've been getting on average about 500 a month, which feels to me really solid. I still have to put work in. I'm not sure what would happen if
Right.
I stopped posting entirely, but at the same time, I came in with a strategy. There was a particular type of post that, I'm marketing my book right now. So I wanted to be able to target a lot of my posts toward that. And I had a lot of content ready to go for that. So I just, implemented that. I have to put in some time every day to make sure that I'm, um, you know, putting in some fresh content. I don't know how it would work without it. But at the same time, it's
Yeah.
really gratifying to see that stuff is being read, and to receive comments and respond to comments. So it just kind of like kickstarted everything, stuff. It was like lighting a fire, and now it feels alive. There's new followers coming in all the time.
I love that. Nick, you brought up a good point there because it does it's still your ship, and we're an extension of your team. I like to say, to our clients that your story becomes a part of our story, and you're still the orchestrator, you're the conductor, and we're the pianist and the violinist and so forth. We go based off your content, and really our focus and what we try to do and we strive to do with our customers is really bring followers to your doorstep, and you open the door with your content. And I think it's a testament not just to what obviously we're doing, what we're here to do for you, but really what you've been able to accomplish. So I think we talk about the law of reciprocity with Social Sensei. I think we need to reciprocate that love back to you, because you've done great content to really be able to 10x your growth on Instagram, and it's awesome to see that. And but it's also kudos to you for the content that you're posting, because it is a two-way street. This wouldn't have been able to happen without the beauty and what I like to call the magic that you've created. So we appreciate for you constantly posting the way you have and having the content and still being mindful of that and thinking of the importance and the value of that content.
Yeah, and it definitely feels like a team. I feel like for the most part, and again, on a day-to-day basis, I don't really have to think so much about what you all are doing. I know you just have my back.
Yeah.
Operating beneath the surface.
Yeah. Now, in terms of revenue, and this is, I know, maybe a little more difficult to quantify, how did you see your revenue change from this? So followers and engagement is great. Ultimately, you have, you're making a living and you have a business. What did you see in terms of revenue that came from this, if any, from your growth on Instagram?
At this stage, I don't know how much revenue growth I've had, because my products, for the most part, are kind of bigger ticket items that are usually in-person trainings and things like that. So I don't know that I've done the best job of monetizing my Instagram growth yet. But I think of it in two ways. The strategy is one, finding organic traffic, folks who are going to come and purchase books, purchase online courses, things like that. So I think it's really suited for that kind of engagement, where people aren't local, there isn't going to be necessarily a face-to-face engagement, or maybe at some point a virtual engagement, which is one of the things I'm working on. But I think the real boom is as the number of followers grows, and I don't mean to belittle individual followers. I mean, I love the engagement with folks that I never would have met otherwise, and actually meeting them. We have meaningful conversations, messaging conversations, things like that. So I think it's kind of amazing in that sense. The world just getting smaller. I think that as the number really quantifies, as it grows larger, it's going to open a lot of doors for me. I don't know what the magic number is, but I imagine that once I get in the several thousands of followers, and I start to embark on speaking tours and trying to get my feet into bigger venues, it's going to pay off. So I feel like the growth along the way has been great. There are certainly ways that I could be probably making more dollars off of each person that clicks on, but for the most part, I'm interested in that overall target of being, it sounds kind of cliche, but like having more of an influencer type status.
Mm-hmm. And then in summary, that's great feedback, and a wonderful opportunity for both of us, as an extension of your team, to see how we can do that with you. I guess in summary now, Nick, how would you describe the transformation? If you can use one word, you can use a few different words or a phrase, but how would you describe the transformation and the experience you've had with Social Sensei in summary?
Well, I think that Social Sensei has been an integral component of a larger movement that I'm undertaking to put myself out there. I've been working as an artist, as a teacher for many, many years. And I was always, I think, a little bit under the radar. I wasn't as interested in marketing aspects. I think like a lot of people, I was focusing on my craft. And there came a time where it felt like not only do I really need to kind of up my game in terms of earning a living, but also, um, just a kind of out of necessity for my soul, I needed to really share what I'm doing. So this has been a large part of it. And I think, again, knowing that I'll be reaching an audience each time I put some creative energy into this process um, has completely enhanced the experience. And so it kind of feeds into this overall feeling that I'm generating of I should be sharing what I'm doing bravely and boldly and, being vulnerable and just putting myself out there. So I can't say that Social Sensei is directly responsible for that part, this transformation, but it's a huge component of the transformation. Without it, I probably would still be somewhat reserved in what I'm doing. But the idea that I'm communicating now with a much larger audience is really powerful.
Yeah, I love that. We by no means can take all the credit, because you are absolutely the source of all that, and we appreciate that, because without you being the source of that abundance, we wouldn't be able to generate what we've been able to with you. So I appreciate that very much. How likely, now that you've gone through this and you're still a client, which is awesome, 4 months later, how likely are you to refer us to friends, family, colleagues, strangers? You're at another retreat, just kind of like you and my business partner were at. How likely are you to talk about Social Sensei and the opportunity for them, and what could come up for them?
Oh, extremely likely. I already have. I think that it's kind of a no-brainer for someone in my position. And then, and another thing I forgot to mention is that I'm actually, it's not just about getting all these followers, and bumping up that number. I mean, obviously that feels good, but I'm also meeting these other people. So even though there may be, however many hundreds of folks are signing on and I'm not connecting with each one, people are crossing my radar, and then I'm establishing deeper relationships with a lot of these folks that are following through this reciprocity. So I think it works on a lot of different levels. And I'd recommend it to anybody who's looking to do this sort of thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so great to hear. And I should mention it's Dr. Nick Atlas. So, we appreciate you, Nick, for joining us today. And on behalf of everyone at Social Sensei, the pleasure has been all ours. And, with Evolutionary Education, it's been a great partnership between the Social Sensei and your business, and we look forward to continuing to build that connection with your followers, because I love that. It's not just about bumping up the numbers and having a bunch of followers. For us, it's really important that this stuff is organic, that there's really good engagement, and we're spreading the awareness that you're trying to create, the vision that you have, and so forth. And and if it happens that these followers turn into leads and clients as well, I mean, that's even better. And that's really ultimately what we're looking for, is that connection, whether it's a client type connection, a friendship type connection, helping, supporting somebody in a time of need or with a problem that they have, and then they think of you and your offer. I mean, that's really important to us. We want to make the people that are with us helping to spread their message to make the world a better place. And as cute and fluffy as that sounds, it's really important to us to make sure that we are doing something to better our communities and our societies through Instagram, because it's a wonderful platform to use to do just that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think obviously every client that you have is going to be different, but for me, I've dedicated my life to helping others. And, the more people I can help, the better. So this is a purely positive exchange that we have, in the sense that you're enabling me to reach more people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us today. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we sign off for today?
Yeah, it occurred to me that I wish I had found you guys 5 years ago, because who knows what it won't be by then. But I'm grateful that we found each other now.
As we are too. Yeah, we wish it could have been 5 years ago as well, but we have the next 5 years to look forward to. So thank you again, Nick, for joining us today, and we continue to wish more success for you and to gain more followers and create more of that you're creating with your education that you're spreading around across really across multiple communities and societies. So thanks again for coming on board and joining us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, our pleasure. Take care. Bye now.
All right. Bye.